Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in an uptrend. If we look trend gauge over here, market leader is still in grow mode, although we do have a yellow sub arrow. And that's due to, yesterday there was a harsh break in many of the leaders, and then today, so we're monitoring that. And then today, a lot of them put in, you know, open week, first hour of the day, pretty heavy selling, and then close quite well. Many of them still close red, but the candle that a lot of the leaders put in today looks pretty bullish. So today's low is going to be a key line in the sand heading into the end of the week. But so still have that green arrow. Short term, green arrow as well. The S&P undercut and reclaimed the 21 EMA, but the Q's shown some relative weakness below. IWM held above it as well. And then medium term above the 50-day moving average and long term above the 200-day moving average. What happened today? Like I just kind of mentioned, leaders finding some support, many 21-day bounces, 50-day bounces, 10-week bounces, and then S&P within the UNR of the 21 EMA. Final numbers 21 over 21 list down 1.06% today, 4 green, 2 neutral, 15 red. Turbo 12 down 0.79%, 5 green, 7 red. Big 8 down 1.01%, RG8 down 0.29%. And then 60/40 stock and bond flat on the day down 0.03%, GROTECTION down 0.36%, TurboTaction down 0.58%. Let's get into the interest correlation. Chart the S&P 500 and, pretty nice bounce, undercut and reclaim of the 21 EMA today. See if it can take out this previous breakout level. But again, as long as that level holds, looks pretty good. And, if you zoom out on the weekly, haven't even broke the 10-week moving average. So objectively, this chart still looks pretty good. Like I said, today's low is going to be a good line in the sand. RSP just consolidating under the highs. This was flat on the day, continues to show a little bit of RS as you can see here. See if this one can break out potentially. The Qs closing below the 21 day again today, holding the 50-day, but on the bright side, this is bouncing right off the 10-week moving average. So chart's getting a little bit messy, but as long as this 50-day holds, totally normal action, just some volatility that is expected historically, heading into some weak seasonality, been on a super strong run. So perhaps that price bounces around, forms a little base, or reclaims 21 tomorrow. But for now, the 10-week and the 50-day and today's lows is a good line in the sand to trade against. Mag 7 showing some relative weakness as well with the Qs, potentially failed breakout, closing below here. Dow Jones Industrial Average, really nice base here, consolidating. So perhaps some rotation into Dow names if this breaks out of this really nice base, really. Mid caps, sitting, just in this base again here. Structure looks pretty good, just in a range under this 3,200 level. Russ 2000, found support at 21 day, 2283. This is kind of a level. This was the breakout level last week, followed through and then came back in. But one thing to note is that still likely for rate cut in September. IWM has record short positioning as well. So, still watching this for potential contrarian trade because positioning here is super negative versus when you look at the COT data for the Qs, it's very, very, very crowded long. So, continue to monitor that scenario. ARC finds support at 50-day moving average. Leaders coming back, undercut and reclaiming the 50-day, and pretty harsh 2-day sell here for leaders. But like I mentioned, like a lot of these lower wicks on many names. So see if those can hold. VIX was starting to round out a little bit, but closed the day red, sub 16. Dollar just cluster moving averages here, kind of in no man's land. Gold in a huge base. See if it wants to pick a direction. GDX continuing higher. Gold miner is acting much better. Silver getting pretty tight here. Got a downtrend line from the highs. Bitcoin, nice RS today. Found support at the 6370 breakout level from back here. And one thing I was thinking about today is that crypto kind of led the way down, and today we saw them lead the way up. Early this morning, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they were starting to show RS, and then obviously S&P and some leaders followed. So that's a potential scenario that uh, crypto started showing relative weakness before the market, and now it's starting to show relative strength before the market as well. So something to monitor. Really, this was this was the zone that Bitcoin needed to hold, and it did. And you look at the weekly, close back above the 10-week moving average as well. And like again, it found support at the top of the base also. So pretty good. And again, kind of the line in the sand to me on this chart. RS has obviously been lagging. And then if we take a look at, I'll show the Ethereum chart too. This one really nice, bounced off this top left side peak, and really strong day for Ethereum. And this has been outperforming Bitcoin by quite a bit. Bonds got a pretty clean base here, coincides with rates, TLT as well, coincides with rates. You know, perhaps start to break down here, TNX as well. So interest correlation. Let's take a look at TAL tape. Let's see. One sec, sorry. Alrighty. Percent of stocks by the 5 day getting down there low. Nasy's pretty oversold. News-wise, had Fed minutes today. They came out a little bit hawkish, and then Jackson Holes on Friday. That's the big thing everyone's watching. Today's keys. S&P not back above 6,500. Qs as well, and then Russell 2000 held the 21. Going into Thursday, going to be watching that new range on the S&P 500, 63.44 to 64.81. And then also the Qs versus the 21 EMA and the 50-day, and then Russ 2000 versus the 21 EMA and that 2283, which was that previous breakout level from last week that it fouled at. So see if that can get back above. Day count from down 1 to down 2, 2 days below the 8 EMA, 12 days above the 21 EMA. Short-term expectations neutral / positive with the Qs below the 21 EMA, although the S&P is above. Let's see, sectors wise, MSOS, this is the marijuana ETF, was strong today. Bitcoin, Ethereum, healthcare, biotech, and then regional banks. And then weakness wise, home builders were weak today after showing some relative strength the last couple weeks. Airlines, uranium, and semiconductors. GROTECTION today sold Palantir and then bought SSO, 1.44 beta. Sorry, that's 1.14 beta. That's typo there. And 4.73% open heat. TurboTection sold Tesla SSO, trimmed TNA, bought BE, and then added to Ethereum, 1.66 beta. Balance at risk, 3.18%. Bottom line, leaders find support, S&P UNR 21 EMA, and the Qs hold the 10-week moving average. Let's get into the charts. All right, start with 21 over 21 list. GDX covered this, holding up strong. ALAB, love the action on this one today. We own this in TurboTection, and it actually did this in 2024. You can see here, this was the earnings gap, kind of followed through, pulled back, held the low of the base here. Monster earnings into all-time highs on huge volume. Came back up, came back down with the market, found support at the gap day lows and the 21 EMA and found support. So as long as these hold, this one looks good for continuation. But like how this one acted today, especially closing green on the day. And you can see this is what a lot of stocks did. Opened up lower, moved lower in the first hour of the day, and then just trended up into the close. And that's good to see. So you'll see that STX, really nice bounce off the 21. This is continues to act like a leader. GEV finds support at this earnings gap lows and the 50-day, and this coincides with the bounce off the 10-week moving average. And that's something I'm seeing a lot. And for Can Slim traders, O'Neill always said the first pullback to the 10-week moving average is a buy. And most of these names off the April lows, this is the first pullback to the 10-week moving average. And so for now, they're holding. I see nothing wrong. GV has pulled back, but again, have to zoom out and see this has made a huge run and is just pulling back to the 10-week 50-day moving average. And that actually, I do want to mention a point is that, a lot of people say zoom out, use the weekly chart, but that only matters if you have cushion. If you're buying something new and that starts to slice, you can't manage risk with 10-week moving average. But for example, Turbo, we do have some good cushion here, and we are using the 10-week. But for a new buy like Tesla, we stopped out of it today just because we can't use a weekly chart for a new buy. You need cushion to trial things with the weekly chart. So APP, nice undercut and reclaim of the 21. I'll be watching it over this, 428, 429, whatever you want to call it, and the high volume close. It's had a really good earnings reaction and earnings reports kind of coming in with the general market. Nvidia, again, nice close here. Bond support 50-day moving average and the 10-week moving average. SE, strong off this earnings reaction. Chart looks great. VST undercut and reclaim with 50-day moving average, and that coincides with the 10-week moving average. AMD finds support 50-day moving average and the 10-week moving average. See, that's a common theme here. Let's see. ANET, another one, bouncing off the 21. See if it can reclaim this gap day lows. SoFi, undercut and reclaim of the 21. Palantir, huge volume on this one today. And this, at the lows today is 25% off the highs in just a matter of 2 weeks. Bounced off, undercut and reclaim this 150 spot and closed back above the 50-day, but see how it reacts. It did manage to close above the 10-week moving average, but again, just a lot of volatility in this one. And so perhaps it just V-shapes back up to highs, but my expectation would be, comes up, maybe finds some resistance up to 21, builds a higher low. We'll see in the coming weeks. APH, undercut and reclaim of the 21. MP, pretty orderly pullback on this one and holding that 21 for now. So maybe this starts to U-turn back up. Carvana, lots of volatility, but trying to hold at the 50-day. Net, same thing here. Watch that 200 level. Dash again off the 50-day. HUD, undercut and reclaim of the 100 spot, still below 21, but did bounce right off the 10-week moving average as well. And then let's see, Rocket flagging out quite nicely here. MU starting to form cup and handle base, maybe go sideways here for a bit. And then Reddit, big bounce off the 21 here. Yeah, good action there. Just some volatility, but 3 days down and right around that 200 level. All right, Turbo 12. Irene, really big upside reversal today, and these crypto miners that are pivoting into energy power have just continued to be super strong. Hinge, another one, tons of volatility in this one. It's a new name. It's not as liquid, less institutional sponsorship. Looks pretty good, but just huge swings, right? From up above 60 to back to 50 and then back up. Just a lot of volatility. HSAI holding at the highs here. KTOS, nice bounce off the 61.43 previous breakout zone. Temps AI, this one looks great. Has been in just a massive range for a while, but starting to show some life after this earnings. So 74.83 was kind of be the breakout level that I'm watching. Big weekly, monthly base, recent IPO in that AI healthcare sector. METC leaking below the 21. AMSC as well. See if it can hold those gap day lows. Lemonade sitting right here, consolidating, holding up well after earnings. Sanmina starting to pull back a little bit. RGTI into the 50-day. Bull breaking the 21, and then SoundHound, pretty disappointment on this one. This one, had a nice base, gapped up on earnings. Day 2, day 3, day 4 higher high, and then just started to slice all the moving averages on the way down. So still watching it, but gonna need some time to clean up this chart and look a little bit more constructive. So all in all, the bottom line, many leaders putting in some reversals. First pullback to the 10-week moving average is a good ad spot. So That's a good place to watch on many of your names. That's what we're looking at for potential ads and using as stops. And then the Qs holding the 50-day and the 10-week moving average. So again, viewing today is pretty positive action for a lot of stocks we follow along with the indexes. Then we're just going to take it, see what the market has in store tomorrow, and then also how the market reacts to Jackson Hole on Friday. So that is going to wrap it. As I always like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. You can find me on Twitter at ConnorJBates_ as well. Phone is 855 Real Wealth, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.